From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Time may not be on your side when waiting to find out if you may have contracted the coronavirus, but now getting results for your COVID-19 test could be quicker depending on where you go to get the test. In Yellowstone County, the wait time to get a result is as long as 7 days through the county health department. But as MTN's Andrea Lutz explains, there's a test with results ready in 24 hours, and it's free.
Say you're feeling a little under the weather. Immediately you think, could this be it? Do I have COVID?
I don't think that we're quite done with this epidemic yet.
So you call into work, get tested, quarantine, and wait for those results to come back.
And that's had a big impact on a lot of people that need to travel, people that want to go see their families.
But in Billings, there's a faster way. Here at Yellowstone Pathology Institute, a private practice housed inside St. Vincent Healthcare, hundreds of COVID-19 test samples are coming in daily, with results going back out in hours.
Being that we are experienced in laboratory testing, that is our shtick, if you will, we said, why not? Why couldn't we try to do this right here locally?
Months back, when testing was limited because supply was at capacity, Yellowstone Pathology decided to build their own COVID-19 test.
Our test is a PCR-based test, so we're looking for the RNA in the virus.
Bonnie Flanagan works directly with the samples.
We are one of the first labs that was able to give the turnaround time that they needed.
These tests are considered the gold standard.
Right now, it has the highest performance characteristics that you see for tests on the market.
We just saw so much unmet need.
As Dr. Angela Durden explains, it's the waiting for results that's crippling for many.
It's easy to send your test off and then, suddenly you're waiting a week because, once your sample arrives in some lab in North Carolina, they pretty much tell you get in line.
At first, these samples coming from doctors' offices, referrals, but the need in our community is so much greater.
I think this test was born partially out of frustration because the lack of testing impacted us as well. I mean, we also have a workforce in our laboratory, and we also have people that we have to look out for.
Allowing the test to help you and me as soon as sickness strikes.
I look at it as the light at the end of the tunnel.
In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
Thanks, Andrea. The COVID-19 test at Yellowstone Pathology is covered by CARES Act dollars. Now anyone can call them to get the 24-hour test, and soon the practice hopes to have a sample collection center at St. Vincent Healthcare. They say that should be coming in the next month or so. Well, Governor Steve Bullock has released the updated COVID-19 vaccination distribution plan. Beginning in mid-January through March, vaccinations will be available for anyone 75 years or older, frontline essential workers, and Native Americans. Starting mid-March through July, vaccinations start for those 65 years and older or ages 16 to 64 at high risk due to underlying medical conditions. Then the final phase is expected to launch in late spring or early summer for all Montanans ages 16 and older. Nearly 17,000 frontline workers have already received the vaccine. Implementation of the plan is contingent on vaccine availability.
That's an exciting component where we can actually see our work come together. So I think all the work now is beginning to pay off as we move through these phases. The one thing that we've learned is to be very flexible in what we do. We can plan and then our plans change, and that's just the nature of the process for us.
And a link to the full plan can be found on our website, ktvq.com. Now, residents in Montana VA's Miles City Community Living Center have gotten their first dose of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. MTN's John Riley caught up with some of the veterans and has their take on the vaccine.
The VA's Community Living Center in Miles City is the only VA nursing home in the state. They care for a number of patients with different conditions, but one common trait is all of their conditions make them more at risk for serious complications from COVID-19.
I have COPD, which is a breathing problem. And so if I did get the virus, I don't think I'd be around very long.
Marine Corps veteran Roland Bannister said he was happy to get his first vaccine dose on Wednesday, along with other residents. Bannister noted the shot made him a little tired, but wasn't bad, especially considering it means the eventual return to some normalcy.
Just being able to jump in my car and go someplace without having to worry about maybe being, getting the virus. Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
A lot of the veterans getting vaccinated indicated they were doing so not only to protect themselves, but out of a sense of duty to protect others.
I can't see why a person wouldn't want to take the vaccine. Anytime you get vaccinated against a disease, all you're doing is taking a precaution against getting sick. And I've had enough injuries and stuff that I can tell you it's not fun recuperating from things. You're not only protecting yourself, you're keeping yourself from getting it and spreading it to other people.
Residents of the VA's Community Living Center in Miles City have been on lockdown since the beginning of the pandemic to protect the vulnerable population. Nurse manager Jennifer Kransky says the veterans in her care have been inspiring examples of exactly what it means to serve your country.
Every time we walk in this door, we have the honor to serve those who served us. And that's the way we have to think about it.
Staff at the VA hope that in the coming months, if people have questions about the vaccine, they reach out to their primary care provider and think of the generations who are most at risk. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
Thanks, John. Well, after several weeks of Montana's COVID-19 numbers dropping, today a spike with 757 new cases and 10 new deaths since last night alone. Yellowstone and Bighorn County saw 2 deaths each. Yellowstone County has now seen 162 people die from the virus, while Bighorn County has lost 63. The state's death toll now stands at 989, with the total number of cases sitting at more than 81,000. At the stroke of midnight tomorrow, the year of 2020 will come to a close. It's felt like possibly the longest year ever, and I'm sure you will undoubtedly be happy to see it in the rearview mirror. But while we celebrate the start of the new year, local health officials hope that holiday gatherings won't contribute to more COVID-19 cases. Q2's Mitch Legge joins us now with more.
I think it's safe to say that the Billings community is ready to be done with 2020 and ring in the new year. However, when it comes to COVID-19, Yellowstone County Health Officer John Felton said on Wednesday he hopes the community doesn't slide backwards when it comes to the total number of cases. The month of December was better for the Yellowstone County case counts. Felton said the peak of cases was in mid-November, which consistently saw 100 new cases per day per 100,000 population. Now, the county is recording 2/3 less than that, with about 34 new cases per day per 100,000 population in December.
So that's what's at risk. The progress that we've made can very quickly turn around when we put people in high-risk environments, which is really where you compress a lot of people in a small space.
Felton offered the same advice we've all been hearing for the past year to slow the spread. People must avoid large gatherings, wear masks, and wash their hands. He advised against attending large New Year's Eve parties and said if there is to be a holiday spike in cases, it will be seen around the second week of January. Billings area restaurants and bars have been operating at 50% capacity and forced to close at 10 p.m. since Felton issued a health officer order in November. At Stacked, a Montana grill in downtown Billings, owner Stephen Hindman said business hasn't been the best, but his employees are following the rules to keep the community safe. They even received a drop-in visit from the health department, which was happy with the restaurant's protocols.
Health department stopped by and thanked us for doing a good job just the other week, and that feels good. Still doesn't correct the situation, but we're trying to do the right things for the right reasons. And as we head into the New Year's Eve, we plan to do the same thing. Just keep doing what we're doing for our guests, for the public. For our healthcare workers, for everybody that's, battling to stay on top of this, doing the right thing for the right reasons. There's never a wrong time for that.
In Billings, Mitch Legge, MTN News.
Thanks, Mitch. Of course, the hope is that COVID-19 will become much less prevalent once widespread vaccinations are carried out. Felton estimates it could be into the summer of 2021 before we get to that point. Well, the number of fatal crashes has spiked by nearly 12% in 2020 on Montana roadways. Through December 28th, Montana Highway Patrol has cataloged 184 fatal crashes, 207 total deaths. That's up from 165 fatal crashes in 2019, also 207 deaths. Even more concerning, though, the number of crashes where troopers determined that excessive speed played a role. That rose by more than 23%, while those linked to alcohol and drugs increased by 32% and 17% respectively. One of the biggest changes from last year involves seatbelt use, where MHP confirmed 71 of the deadly crashes had at least one of the occupants not wearing a seatbelt. That number is up 40% from last year alone. Montana Highway Patrol calls the numbers alarming and urges drivers to remember that even the small steps can go a long way to reducing the number of fatal crashes. Longtime former Billings Police Chief Gene Kaiser passed away at his Billings home last week. Kaiser joined the Billings Police Department in 1961. He was appointed chief in 1977. Kaiser's 13-year tenure as chief was only recently surpassed by current police chief Rich St. John, who has headed the department for the past 14 years. Following Kaiser's retirement in 1990, he moved to Helena, where he was later appointed director of the Board of Crime Control. A memorial service for Kaiser is set for Saturday at the First Baptist Church here in Billings. Kaiser was 84 years old. Up next on tonight's Q2 530 News, we're taking you to the 1950s for a historical look back at the U-2 spy plane and what life looked like from above, and also a great way to head into 2021 becoming a millionaire. Find out where the Montana Lottery winning ticket was purchased.
And coming up in weather, we're going to continue our countdown into 2021. And it looks like tonight it'll be partly cloudy, dry, and a little breezy on Thursday. Maybe some flurries nearby, but not so much in here. But on New Year's Day, it'll be sunny and warm, and temperatures will actually be above normal.